All right, let's get right into it. Welcome, everyone. Today, we're literally pulling back the curtain on one of the most absolutely fascinating parts of modern football, and that's the high-stakes chess match of the summer transfer window. Specifically, we're diving deep into Arsenal's boardroom. Now, this explainer, it isn't just about reading off a list of names. No, it's an insider's look into how Arsenal fundamentally operates behind the scenes to secure top-tier talent. We're going to decode the exact strategy they're using right now to navigate what is a highly volatile, massively inflated market. So if you've ever wondered how these multi-million-pound deals actually take shape long before they hit the headlines, you are in exactly the right place.
Okay, let's dive into this because, well, everything really starts with the manager's mandate. Right after the Champions League final, Mikel Arteta made his stance crystal clear in his post-match press conference. He said he wants transfer business done quickly and efficiently. Sounds great, right? But as anyone who follows the sport knows, what a manager wants and what the actual market allows are often two very different things. The reality right now is heavily complicated by the international calendar. With a major World Cup tournament happening, the whole market has essentially just been on pause. Players are away, agents are totally distracted, and clubs simply refuse to negotiate until the dust settles. But as that tournament finally comes to a close, things are going to accelerate rapidly, and Arsenal absolutely needs to be ready to execute.
So here is our transfer dossier for today. We're going to start by breaking down the parallel transfer strategy, then we'll look at priority number 1, Morgan Rogers. After that, the long shot, Julian Álvarez, followed by the waiting game with Bradley Barcola, before finally wrapping up with final deals and departures.
Section 1. The Parallel Transfer Strategy.
To really understand Arsenal's current transfer window, you've got to understand the mastermind pulling the strings behind the scenes, and that is sporting director Berta. His arrival has completely revolutionized how Arsenal approaches the summer months. He's shifted them completely away from those desperate late-window gambles to a highly calculated, multi-layered operation. His methodology? It's a masterclass in risk management. A lot of people call it spinning plates. And this strategy has 3 core steps. First, you never ever just chase one player. You engage multiple targets in the exact same position simultaneously. Second, you push all of those deals down the line in principle, so getting as close to an agreement as humanly possible without officially signing on the dotted line. And third, only when you have all your options laid out in front of you do you choose the optimal financial and playing fit. Think back to last summer, right? Arsenal was pursuing both Suarez and Sesko at the exact same time before finally deciding which path to take. This shrewd approach completely prevents panic buying in the final week, because if your primary target falls through, well, you already have a fully developed alternative ready to go.
Section 2. Priority number 1, Morgan Rogers.
So, how exactly does Berta's strategy apply right now? Well, the first plate they're spinning is their absolute priority number 1 target, Aston Villa and England forward Morgan Rogers. Rogers has had his phenomenal rise. I mean, even surprisingly starting for England against Argentina in the World Cup semi-final. Arsenal has clearly identified him as their top guy. Now, based on our sources, Arsenal has deeply explored the conditions of this deal, and interestingly enough, personal terms of the player, probably not going to be an issue. But here is the massive roadblock. Aston Villa is under absolutely zero pressure to sell. They don't want to sell, and they've publicly slapped a massive not-for-sale sign right on him. As of right now, there's no official club-to-club contact, although some tentative talks have happened at the ownership level. It's just your classic standoff. Arsenal knows money talks, but the real question is, exactly how much money are we talking about here?
And this brilliantly illustrates why prying Rogers away from Villa is going to require a completely astronomical fee. Just look at the recent market movement. The marketplace is, well, it's completely warped right now. We've seen Elliot Anderson go for £116 million, Sandro Tonali for £100 million, and Matías Fernandes for £85 million. Now sure, while those players might not be strictly comparable to Rogers in terms of exact position, they set an undeniable financial baseline. Aston Villa's front office is simply going to point to these exact deals and say, look, if they're worth that, Morgan Rogers is worth well over £100 million. It's severe market inflation, guys, and it's exactly why Arsenal literally cannot afford to have Rogers as their single solitary option.
Section 3. The long shot, Julian Álvarez.
Now, if Morgan Rogers is the domestic priority, Julian Álvarez is the massive global long shot. We're talking about the huge story dominating the Spanish press right now regarding Atlético Madrid's superstar Argentina striker. What's super fascinating here is the stark contrast in negotiation tactics between the clubs pursuing him. On one side, you have Barcelona. They are desperate, incredibly public about their intentions, and they've already had a massive €100 million bid just completely dismissed out of hand. Joan Laporta, Barca's president, is practically shouting from the rooftops about it. But Arsenal is quiet, they're just lurking in the background. And crucially, they have Berta, who actually used to be the sporting director at Atlético Madrid.
He is quietly using those deep-rooted connections to monitor the whole situation without making a noisy spectacle of it.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the staggering number involved here. 500 million euros. Yep, that is Julian Alvarez's reported release clause. It's a completely absurd, astronomical figure, no doubt about it. But it's really important to understand why it even exists. Spanish clubs notoriously insert these absolutely crazy numbers into the contracts of top-tier players simply as a classic leverage tactic. It's basically a giant keep-out sign. It ensures absolutely nobody can trigger a buyout without coming directly to the negotiating table strictly on Atletico's terms.
And hey, just in case that 500 million euro deterrent wasn't quite enough for you, Atletico Madrid's chief executive, Miguel Arteta, recently came out and stated, "We probably won't even sell him for 170 million pounds, which is 200 million euros. Okay, it really doesn't get much clearer than that, does it? Alvarez is their player, and they are making their not-for-sale stance incredibly public to fend off Barcelona. So you might be wondering, why is Arsenal even bothering? Well, it's the ultimate opportunistic play. The player reportedly wants out. If things reach a boiling point, and Atletico flat-out refuses to sell to a direct La Liga rival like Barca, Arsenal is perfectly positioned right there in the background to swoop in and offer an international exit route. It's a huge long shot, sure, but in Berta's system, it's definitely a plate worth spinning.
Section 4. The Waiting Game. Bradley Barcola.
So if Rodgers is the priority and Alvarez is the long shot, PSG forward Bradley Barcola represents the ultimate waiting game. PSG insists he's absolutely not for sale. But so, the crucial point is the undeniable shift in his squad status over the last season. Look at the data from PSG's biggest Champions League fixtures. In the quarterfinals against Liverpool, the semifinals against Bayern Munich, and even the final against Arsenal, Barcola didn't start. He was relegated to the bench while the manager consistently preferred Désiré Doué alongside Dembélé. And to make matters even worse for his playing time, PSG is now actively tracking Yala Mangande from Sporting. Arsenal's looking at this tactical reality and realizing, a player of Barcola's caliber, he isn't going to sit on the bench forever.
Which really begs a very important question, one that could easily define the late stages of the transfer window. If PSG secures their new targets, does Barcola suddenly become surplus to requirements? This perfectly validates Berta's strategy of patience. By keeping this alternative quietly simmering in the pipeline, Arsenal is totally prepared to strike if PSG's stance shifts in the final weeks. You just never know how the dominoes will fall in the market, and Arsenal is making sure they have a bucket ready to catch one if it drops.
Section 5. Final Deals and Departures.
Now, while the media focuses on all these massive, drawn-out sagas for Rodgers, Alvarez, and Barcola, Arsenal isn't just sitting on their hands. They're actively shaping the squad in the background right now. Just look at these major confirmed moves. Arsenal has actually agreed to a £34 million deal for Christos Tzolis from Club Brugge. And by the way, that's a fee that actually shatters the Belgian Pro League record. And at the exact same time, they're facilitating departures, with Leandro Trossard on his way out to Besiktas. This brilliantly proves that Berta can walk and chew gum at the exact same time. The club is executing significant, record-breaking business rapidly to ensure the squad is refreshed, even while they navigate the massive, massive complexities of their marquee targets.
Which leaves us with this final provocative thought. We've seen the strategy, the inflated market, the quiet background maneuvering, and the record-breaking secondary deals. But with all these plates spinning in the air right now, from Morgan Rodgers to Julian Álvarez to Bradley Barcola, who will ultimately be Arsenal's defining summer signing? It's a high-stakes game of transfer window poker, and the final card hasn't been dealt yet. Keep a really close eye on this one, because when Arsenal finally makes their move, it is going to absolutely shake the market. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time as we continue to decode the fascinating world of football.